बहुत दिल दहलाने वाली कहानियाँ हैं। और ये मेल डोमिनेंट सोसाइटी, जैसे कहा जाता है कि दुनिया भर में इस किस्म का डिस्क्रिमिनेशन है औरत के साथ। ये सिर्फ मुसलमानों के साथ नहीं, दूसरे मज़हबों के साथ भी होता है और इंटरनेशनल फिनोमेना है। और अफसोस है कि इस किस्म से ऐसी तकलीफ़ के साथ औरतों को गुजरना पड़ता है। मैं अब दावत देता हूँ मोहतरमा शाहिदा मुर्तज़ा, एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर ऑफ मौलाना आज़ाद यूनिवर्सिटी मानो। Before that, madam, 1 minute. Before that, I would also request Ms. Sumayya Ahmed to give her testimony in a short. Sumayya Ahmed, please. एक 2-4 मिनट में आप अपनी टेस्टिमनी कर दीजिए प्लीज़, बिकॉज देयर इज़ शॉर्टेज ऑफ टाइम। आप एक 2-4 मिनट में कर दें, फिर प्रोफेसर अपनी बात करेंगे।
अस्सलामु अलैकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। I am Sumayya, and basically I'm from Warangal district of Andhra Pradesh, and right now I'm studying in Jawaharlal Nehru University, and I'm doing my PhD in Middle Eastern Studies on issues of women, gender studies particularly. So मैं आज यहाँ पर आपके सामने खड़ी हूँ तो किसी ऐसी चीज़ को लेकर के नहीं कि कोई बात अगर मैं कहूँ तो सिंपैथी के लिए या कुछ इस तरह के, ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है। मैं सिर्फ इसलिए यहाँ पर खड़ी हूँ ताकि मैं ये बोल सकूँ कि एक मुसलमान का जो अल्लाह के रसूल सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने ये कहा है कि एक मुसलमान के सामने अगर कुछ गलत हो रहा है तो उसको वो हाथ से रोक के, अगर हाथ से ना रोक सके तो ज़ुबान से रोके, और ज़ुबान से ना रोक सके तो एटलीस्ट दिल में उसको बुरा समझे। तो मैं आज इसी चीज़ को लेकर के, और यकीन मानिए कि आज से पहले मैंने कई सारी जगहों पर खड़े होकर बोला भी है, शिरकत भी की है, लेकिन आज बहुत अजीब लग रहा है, पर फिर भी मैं बोलना चाहती हूँ। मेरी शादी मेरी तालीम मदरसे से हुई है, और मैंने आलमियत और फजीलत करने के बाद डायरेक्ट MA इस्लामिक स्टडीज़ किया था, और MA करने के फ़ौरन बाद मेरी शादी हो गई थी। और शादी के लिए जो रिश्ते ढूंढे जा रहे थे उसमें भी बहुत सारी परेशानियां ये हो रही थी, क्योंकि उसमें दो चीज़ें बहुत प्रोमिनेंटली सामने आ रही थी हमारे सामने। हम लोग चूँकि दीनी घराने से थे तो हम लोग जहेज़ के लिए काफ़ी, हमारे अंदर बहुत बुरी तरह की फीलिंग थी कि जहेज़ वगैरह बहुत गैर इस्लामी चीज़ें हैं। लेकिन जब भी रिश्ता देखा जा रहा था तो यही सबसे अहम चीज़ सामने आ रही थी कि लड़की बेहद खूबसूरत हो, और ख़ूबसूरती में पतली, लंबी और गोरी, ये 3 पैमाने थे। और उसके अलावा अगर हो तो उसके साथ साथ वो खूब सारा जहेज़ लाने वाली हो। तालीम की उसमें कोई गुंजाइश नहीं रखी है, तालीम भले से पढ़ी लिखी हो, नहीं पढ़ी लिखी हो, लेकिन माल और दौलत बहुत लाने वाली हो। इस तरह का जो चीज़ थी वो सिर्फ ये नहीं थी कि सामने लोग बोल रहे थे, बल्कि सामने जो नहीं बोल रहे थे, जो निंदा करते थे इस चीज़ की, वो पीछे से उन्हीं घरों में जाते थे जहाँ पर आने की तवक्को होती थी, बड़े बड़े जहेज़ आने की तवक्को होती थी। हम 4 बहनें हैं, और जिस वालिद के 4 बेटियाँ होती हैं, या 4 से ज़्यादा या उससे भी कम, या एक बेटी भी अगर हो, और अगर वो मॉडेस्ट, अगर वो कुछ देना नहीं भी चाहे तो ये कहाँ इस्लाम ये कहता है कि उसको मतलब देना ही चाहिए। इस्लामी तालीम तो कभी भी जहेज़ के लिए नहीं कहीं उसकी गुंजाइश है इस्लाम में। लेकिन जैसे कल हफीज़ भाई से बात हो रही थी तो उन्होंने ये कहा कि हम ईमान से, बिलीफ के हिसाब से मुसलमान हैं, लेकिन कल्चर के हिसाब से हम उस कल्चर के फॉलो करने वाले हैं जिसमें मतलब ये बाकायदा कहा जाता है कि लड़की अगर जहेज़ के साथ ना हो तो वो मतलब लड़की वो कोई वैल्यूएबल एसेट नहीं होती है। वैल्यूएबल एसेट सिर्फ वही होता है जो जहेज़ और साजो सामान के साथ आए। बहरहाल इन सारी चीज़ों को देखते हुए जो एक मुनासिब हमारे वालिद को लगा, तो उसमें ये भी मसला आ रहा था कि MA हैं तो उसी हिसाब का कोई लड़का हो। इत्तेफाक से जो भी पढ़े लिखे लड़के आ रहे थे उनके साथ जहेज़ का सबसे ज़्यादा डिमांड था कि उनको इतना चाहिए उतना चाहिए। फिर फाइनली इस बात के ऊपर एग्री हो गए कि ठीक है, हमसे ये कहा गया कि जिन साहब का रिश्ता आया था वो ग्रेजुएट हैं, तो हमारे वालिद ने ये कहा कि ग्रेजुएट है, सेटल हैं, तो बिज़नेस करते हैं, तो शादी हो जाए तो क्या हर्ज है। ठीक है, कुफू नहीं होगा उतना बराबर का, लेकिन चलो अब कर दें इसी तरह से, क्योंकि और कोई ऑप्शन नहीं मिल रहा है। शादी हुई, जहेज़ दिया गया, लाखों में ही दिया गया, कोई उसमें मॉडेस्टी नहीं बरती गई। डिस्पाइट ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट वी आर 4 sisters, my father never hesitated to sell his business property, his iron and hardware shop. He sold it out for 10 lakhs, almost 9 to 10 lakhs, and he just paid every single pie which was asked. एंड उसके बावजूद भी चूँकि वो उतने उस लेवल की का जहेज़ नहीं था, सबका मुंह बना हुआ था, और इसमें डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस उसके बाद स्टार्ट हुआ। और इसके स्टार्ट होने के बाद कोई मतलब गुंजाइश ही नहीं रही कि किस तरह से उसको बराबर मतलब लेवल ऑफ किया जाए, या किस तरह से उसको ख़त्म किया जाए, या किस तरह से उसमें कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ किया जाए। बहुत सारी चीज़ें गाली गलौज से लेकर मार तोड़ से लेकर डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस की स्टार्ट हुई जहेज़ के नाम पर। तो फिर भी वालिद साहब हमारे इस बात पर खामोश हो गए कि कल के रोज़ अल्लाह अगर पूछेगा तो हम ये कह देंगे कि हम मजबूर थे बहुत अपनी बेटियों की शादी करने के लिए। लेकिन डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के नाम पर हमारी वालिदा खड़ी हो गई और उन्होंने कहा कि बच्ची को या तो मरने दिया जाए या फिर उसको तलाक़ दिलवा कर, जिसमें इस्लाम की गुंजाइश रखी गई है, उसको दिलवा कर उसको जीने दिया जाए। फिर उन्होंने सपोर्ट किया और उन्होंने मुझको दोबारा से तालीम के लिए भेजा है। एंड आई एम वेरी प्राउड ऑफ देम, आई एम वेरी थैंकफुल टू अल्लाह, आई एम वेरी थैंकफुल टू इस्लामिक ethos which give the space for a woman to think and rethink over it. Like इस्लाम की जो तालीमात है वो किसी मुतल्लका औरत को या किसी बेवा औरत को कभी पस्त या डिस्क्रिमिनेटरी वे में नहीं रखती है, उसको उसकी उतनी ही इज़्ज़त रखती है जिस तरह एक आम औरत की होती है या एक आम मर्द की होती है। लेकिन एक आखिरी बात के साथ मैं अपनी बात को ख़त्म करना चाहती हूँ कि ये जो हालात हैं इसका ज़िम्मेदार कौन है और इसको कैसे सुलझाया जाए। जाहिर सी बात है कहीं ना कहीं मेन शॉविनिज़म, मर्दों की जो शॉविनिज़म है वो कहीं ना कहीं इसमें दिख कर के आती है। पेट्रियार्कल कल्चर जो इंटरनेशनल फेनोमेना है, लेकिन मुसलमान होने की हैसियत से मुसलमान क्या कर रहे हैं इसके लिए। मुसलमान के जो तरीक़े होते हैं, इजलास होते हैं, इज्तिमात होते हैं, जुमा के खुतबे होते हैं, ये कितनी बड़ी चीज़ अल्लाह के रसूल सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने रखी। क्या ये जुमा के खुतबे या इजलास और इज्तिमात इसलिए होते हैं कि इसमें सिर्फ नमाज़ पढ़ने का तरीक़ा और वजीफ़े करने के तरीक़े बताए जाएँ? क्या इसमें इस्लामी ज़िंदगी को गुजारने वाले जो निकाह और तलाक़ के पैमाने रखे गए हैं, क्या उनका डिस्कशन नहीं होगा इसमें? क्या खुतबों में आज तक ये कहा गया है जुमा के खुतबों में कि जहेज़ को बिल्कुल ना लिया जाए, जहेज़ को ख़त्म कीजिए? हर इंसान की ज़िंदगी में शादी जैसी अहम चीज़ होती है, एक रोल मॉडल पेश करने के लिए मर्दों से क्यों अर्ज नहीं किया जाता है? जब मैं 20 साल की थी उस वक्त जब मैंने कहा था इस बात को कि जो भी ख़वातीन यहाँ पर आई हैं, एक इज्तिमा में मैं बोल रही थी, दर्स कुरान दे रही थी, मैंने उनसे कहा कि यहाँ जो ख़वातीन आई हैं, जो लड़कों की माएँ हैं, वो आज यहाँ से अहद करके जाएं, नाम दे करके जाएं कि वो कौन है होंगी जो अपने बेटों के लिए जहेज़ नहीं लेंगी। एक औरत का भी नाम उसमें नहीं आया, किसी ने इसकी तरफ तवज्जो ही नहीं दी। क्यों? क्या ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी नहीं है? क्या इस्लाम से खारिज चीज़ है ये? क्या निकाह को इस्लाम के अंदर, दायरे के अंदर नहीं रखा गया है? ये सब हमारे सवालात हैं और ये सब हमारे हल हैं। ये एक खुतबे, जुमा के खुतबे होते हैं या इज्तिमात होते हैं या इजलास होते हैं, ये ज़रिया होते हैं मुसलमान मर्दों की सोच को रिवाइव करने का, उनको अच्छा बनाने का या उनको दीनी बनाने का। और इसी तरह की ज़िम्मेदारी ख़वातीन की भी होती है, मुसलमान औरतों की भी होती हैं कि उनके ऊपर अगर जुल्म किया जाए तो वो उसके ऊपर हिचक हिचक कर रोए नहीं, वो उसको मजबूती से फेस करे। अल्लाह मजबूत लोगों का साथ देता है, अल्लाह सब्र करने वालों का साथ देता है। तो आप सबसे दुआ है कि आप इस चीज़ को ज़रूर मद्देनज़र रखें। हर घर में बेटा होता है, हर घर में बेटी होती है। इस अहद के साथ चलें कि हमको एक रोल मॉडल पेश करना है, हमको अपने घर से चिराग जलाना है और अपने घर के नीचे मतलब चिराग तले अंधेरा वाली मशहूर मिसाल है, अपने घर में अंधेरा नहीं रखना है। खुदा हाफिज़।
She is Aisha.
अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला रसूलिल हमीन वल आक़िबतु लिल मुत्तक़ीन। रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली। अम्मा बाद, मेरा नाम आयशा है। मैं 2002 में मई 28 को इस्लाम एक्सेप्ट करी और 11 साल हो चुके। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मेरे को 3 बच्चे हैं, नन्हे बच्चे। तो तो मेरी ये हालत है कि मेरे शोहर मेरे को बिना बोले यानी एक नौ मुस्लिम लड़के को उनको इस्लाम की दावत दिए और निकाह कर लिए। अब उन्हें मजबूर हैं कि दोनों को पालने की तकलीफ़ हो रही है। उसके सिलसिले में मैं कुछ हेल्प चाहती हूँ कि मेरे बहनों से, मेरे नन्हे बच्चे हैं, मेरे माँ बाप ये कह रहे कि इस्लाम छोड़ डालो तुम मुसीबत में है, लेकिन इस्लाम नहीं छोड़ती हूँ मैं। मेरी सांस भी नहीं मेरी चले गए तो इस्लाम नहीं छोड़ती हूँ। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, जज़ाकल्लाह, बहुत जज़ाकल्लाह, जज़ाकुमुल्लाह खैर। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, अस्सलाम वालेकुम रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू।
No, it's okay, चलता है. Yeah, I'll try to do that, but you're not being justified. Assalamu alaikum. I would like to thank at the outset the organizers for having invited me over here. सुबह ममता मैडम ने इतना रिक्वेस्ट किया था इन ख़वातीन से कि आप रहें यहाँ पे और अपने मसाइल का हल ढूंढने की कोशिश करें, लेकिन मैं देख रही हूँ कि आहिस्ता आहिस्ता लड़कियाँ बाहर चली जा रही हैं. I would like to really present a brief, report of what I would like to, I'll come out with some suggestions as well, but I would like to talk about three things here. One is the situations prevailing here in the Muslim Muashara in Hyderabad. Second thing, about the various types of problems these Muslims are facing, even though they are practicing Muslims, so-called. And third is, I would like to come out with some suggestions, and I wanted really Professor Vasi also to be here to really deliberate on this, whether I don't know what I'm going to speak is really befitting to this, because this is based on the empirical data, whatever our students have collected, and then we have been a part to it. So let me tell at the outset that Islam is a religion which promotes brotherhood, peace and equality. It's a way of life, very much compatible to human nature. Men and women are part of each other, not parties against each other. Marriage is based on trust and self-respect, compatibility and sacrifice. Islam realizes that there can be irrevocable differences between couples, and instead of forcing them to stay in a relationship which is devoid of love and compassion and rather has turned abusive, there is provision of exit, unlike in other religious communities. They are free to marry. Women can also seek divorce, that is khula. Islam strictly prohibits any force either in marriage or in divorce. Though marriage is a contract, the dissolution of marriage is strongly disliked by Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Allah Ta'ala. Hence, arbitration for reconciliation is strongly recommended. Family is considered to be a fundamental unit of social life which protects a person from all else. Hence, there should be all efforts to secure its stability. The Andhra Pradesh Muslim Personal Law Board has also prepared a marriage contract which includes a clause on arbitration. But still, if they wish, they have the right to part peacefully in an ahsan way. But India, where couple approaches force for dissolutions of marriage, the legal procedure takes very long. So that's why I feel that we have to search the solution within our own, personal law board, and then try to come out with solutions. Since I have told you there are three problems I would like to speak on. One is the dissolution of marriage, which is happening, is of three types. One is divorce, which is officiated, or whatever it is declared, and then it is declared by the man himself. The second type is the man disappears, and then we call such women mu'allaqa. This is the most dangerous thing. Out of 100, we found that 20 women are like this, who are hunting for their husbands, cannot marry another, because Islam doesn't permit, unless you take talaq, you cannot marry another. So just imagine our domestic servants and all these people, quite a few, who do not have the whereabouts of their husbands, neither they are married nor they are divorced. The third one, which is very dangerous, which we were talking in the morning, we pointed out about, is the sheikh marriages. The outside Arab countries see people coming, youngsters, old people of all age no bar, and marrying this. And instead of going into detail of all these things, I'll just like to come on the issues because the time is so limited. Quite a few of them are waiting to present their own, papers over here. I would like to say first the statistics, Uzma and other people also, I would like their attention that these people, what we have come out with a lot of study for the past 10 years, we have been conducting various empirical studies on the issues confronting Muslim women. These Muslim women or men as well do not have the knowledge of what Sharia is. They do not have knowledge of mahr is compulsory in the time of marriage. That a divorce has to be pronounced. A friend of her husband cannot come and declare that he is divorcing you. There are ways of. This is happening, as Isma said, that they do not have knowledge of Islam. And then the third one is, all of them, 99% I can tell you for sure, have opted for mahr muajjal. Mahr muajjal, only 7% out of 6,000 have paid as per the present thing. 6,000 marriage means only 7% have paid mahr muajjal, that is ujlat mein jo diya jata hai on the spot who give them. All of them. And after divorce, none of them, I can tell you for sure that none of the husband has paid the mahr. Rather, they force their wife to go in for khula so that he can get some more gifts also. Also, he will be forgiven for the mahr. So this type of mentality that men stoop down to that level, that they are ready to, force, because women, you should realize that they never ask for divorce unless the circumstances are so worst. And on top of it, he is not ready to divorce because he has to pay back that small amount of mahr he wants to avoid, and that's why he seeks that she forces, rather, coax her into giving khula, because she will have to forego that mahr amount, whatever gives. Now, these are the statistics we have received. The topmost comes from Khila and Shahali Banda. And I'm sure those people who are coming from the Zohar areas, they will definitely know that these are the hot hub of activities where divorces are at 30%. Yesterday I have learnt about. And it is so sickening to know that why our unit of stability is going so unstable. And if our family unit is not stable, I don't think the Mashra is going to grow further. Few of the figures, which I do not want to reveal the name of a person who has brought and given me, because this is not somebody will reveal. The third type of marriages, sheikh marriages, whichever. The figures are very appalling, madam. If you really want to take some step in this direction, please do that. Because the number of marriages taking place, which you have named them Misyar, Miswar, Muta, whatever it is, they are around 200 and 250 per month. Mostly the students from our countries like Kuwait, Saudi, Palestine, Qatar and Yemen, as well as from Sudan, Somalia, are involved in flesh trade, I'm sorry to use this word, in the name of Islamic marriage. They have taken advantage of the poverty of Joda Jahez problem. They have taken flats in various parts of the city. One guy marries and takes the girl to the flat where the girl is shared by his roommates. Sadar Khazi involved in these marriages, he takes 1 to 12 lakh, 2 lakh, gives part of it to Dalal and parents of the poor girl. This money is shared by all the roommates. As said, the girl feels awkward initially, but get used to it. Age Saudis and Omanis are not allowed to marry in Hyderabad unless they obtain a certificate from the collectorate office, so that the girls are smuggled to UP, Bihar or Bombay for the marriages. So the Khazi have established their own farmhouses or motels outside the city. They charge the Arabs heavily for a week or two to stay. Once they leave the place, the girl is made available for another client. The death certificates too are obtained from the previous temporary husband. The collector had recently called all the Khazis to warn of 2 lakh fine and 12 years jail, but there is no action in it yet. Hyderabadi girls are maybe very less in number. Most of the girls are brought to Hyderabad from Rajasthan, UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, etc., where the poverty rate is very high. Once these girls get settled, they inspire other girls to join this business. As an average, each girl has married 2 to 3 times between the age of 14 to 18 years. A Sadar Khazi in one of the areas I don't want to name is a mafia leader. There are hardly already cases against him in the court of issuing fake marriage certificates and brokerage. He was beaten by the local youth, too, in a homosexuality case. But he pays heavy amount to the police, therefore, FIR was registered against him yet. No FIR was registered. His own wife had filed a case against him, but the police made a compromise between him and no FIR was registered again. His lifestyle is more lavish than the chief minister of his state. The Waqf board charges rupees 50 per nikah. The Sadar Khazi charges 600 to 800. The Naib Khazi charges 1000 to 1200 to marrying party. Naib Khazi's income is far higher than the Sadar Khazi. Many marriages take place orally without any registration. For this, the Naib Khazis charge whatever depending upon the capacity of the party. The sheikhs and the students badly in need of a woman do not bargain and hastily pay them whatever they want. Recently, a case came to light when a Sudani aged person lost his passport. He had come to the city for excursion. Incidentally, somebody found that passport and handed over to him. The police handed over to the police. The police interrogated the Sudani about his doings in the city. He disclosed that a Khazi had taken 50,000 from him for performing the nikah, but due to the loss of passport, the nikah was delayed. Hardly 2% cases come to light because of such abundance. Otherwise, unless the girl feels this is intolerable and goes to police station, we will never know about such cases. I would like to really feel that the present Indian Muslim law is drafted in 1937. It was called Mohammedan Law or Indian Shariat Act. Article 224 of the Indian Constitution guarantee application of these laws as far as Muslim personal affairs are concerned. It is to be borne in mind that the fiqh is not equal to Holy Quran. The scholars of different time extract and expand the laws of Sharia according to the situation present during the particular time. It is inevitable thus, these laws are amended, changed or scrapped if the new circumstances so demand. It is the need of the hour to keep the laws competent to the prevailing situations. Maulana Minnatullah Rahmani, the founding member of Muslim Personal Law Board, as a writer of several books on this issue, wrote in his book, Muslim Personal Law, that the masail are of two types. Number one, on this issue, number one, are those issues which are never experienced by the earlier scholars, and therefore the fiqh is silent on these issues. Second, those issues which have to be deliberated afresh under the changing situation. The times when the present are drafted have changed completely. According to Quran, these are the times when laws are drafted. The man was a real khawam. According to Quran, he was not the receiver of the dowry or tilak or dinners from the women. The woman was not exposed to the modern education, job or outside world. To the man has inverted or rather subverted the teachings of Quran and Sharia completely. Now he doesn't pay meher, but instead collects dowry from the women, not only in the form of net cash, but also demands property, automobile, etc. He grabs the salary, inheritance, and belongings of the wife. The divorce ratio is increasing alarmingly because of this type of, un-Islamic way of life. What I feel that the Indian Constitution itself grants the permission to, resolve the dispute between the parties. According to Indian Constitution, the two parties, husband and wife, can appoint a person of their choice who is called arbitrator. I think our new Nikah-nama, I really salute Uzma Nahid and the party, her group of activists who have come out with a solution that we have to draft a new Nikah-nama. And when Khalid Saifullah Rahmani spoke, that he said his own Nikah-nama, whatever they have constructed, it has a possibility of arbitration, and that is very, very essential. If there are some disputes, that is the best Islamic way of resolving the disputes. And if doesn't happen, then there is a Hasan way of, separating. What is to be done? Before that, I would like to just read out that how it is happening here, along with the sanctified institution of marriage among Muslims. Of late, misyar, miswar, and muta, the temporary marriages, have also entered the social scenario and enjoy the jurisprudence support. Because when we spoke to Yemeni scholars and Arab scholars and muftis, they said that it is permitted in Arab countries if the man, wedded man, having wife and children, can also take up a temporary wife, and that is lawfully correct. The Gulf petrol dollars Economy has no doubt provided a much needed fillip to our economy, but also brought along the concept of sexual tourism. And this is one thing like, okay, I will have to, no, I'll come in for some suggestions to avoid such things, what best method is to be adopted. And I feel that I may be bringing out from the empirical data, Uzma, and what I found, that these people who are following or who are falling prey to this type of practices are, one of the most evident fact is that the families who are entering into such alliances belong to below poverty line, have large families, observe all un-Islamic ceremonies religiously, and are in debts, are not much aware of the reproductive technology, are not well versed with religious texts and Islamic teaching. They lead a life devoid of Sharia. Vices are common among the youth. Further, I think you'll have to give me 5 minutes because, no, I have to finish this once I've come over. It is hardly they differentiate between haram and halal. Every female child means an additional burden. Education will remain a distant dream for them. My suggestion is Muslim youth should be sensitized to the Islamic values, and Andhra Pradesh Muslim personnel can take up this task of Zahan Sazi to stop such practices as dowry, ritual, and ceremonies which are un-Islamic and proves highly detrimental to the family economy and leaves the family in debt for life. Hence, it is very, very difficult that they come out of it. Any Khazi found guilty of officiating such marriages must be penalized and banned for life. They need to sensitize on the duties and responsibilities. Ulama should refrain from attending any such marriages which is based on un-Islamic, such as dowry, dinner, or nikah's practice. The ulama should, irrespective of maslak, adopt uniform measures to solemnize nikah only on the line as was during the times of Prophet ﷺ. They should have the political will to implement the Sharia in its true spirit and rid ma'ashara of ills and evil practices. It is high time the moral fabric is strengthened. Friday prayers, as this young girl had told, have to be used as such. The days are meant for that, to address these issues. This apart, congregations, workshops, and camps should be organized to sensitize the Muslim youth about the various evils confronting the ma'ashara apart from media. If your youth are morally upright, are free from addictions, education and skill, there is no dearth of economic activities to opt for, can have political voice as well. The Muslim girl should be educated about their rights as well as about the responsibilities. For this, education is an important tool. Ignorance is the bliss for the subjugation and servitude. No, you are sitting late? No. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. There are quite a few suggestions more, which I feel that they are not, that's what, huh? No, that's true, but you have not judicially distributed the time. And then we wouldn't be giving the paper just because we are here to discuss with the audience. I'm sorry for that, but from morning, that's what we had thought of. Sorry.
I'm extremely sorry to the speakers because, see, the problem is we started it a bit late and the time is very important constraint, and all the people sitting here are very patient. I appreciate that. But having said that, we have 2 sessions to go. And when we have 2 sessions to go, we have to cut short the speakers' duration also. I would request the speakers after this to be concise, not taking more than 7 to 10 minutes in each of their papers, because that's very important. Because we have to finish the session before 5:15. That is very important. Because from 10:30 people are sitting here. We have tested their patience. I think they deserve to be, confined. And I really apologize.